friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and today I'm going to be chatting through all the books that I currently have checked out on Kindle Unlimited. I love Kindle Unlimited, I will be honest, and I have a lot of Romantasy books in particular on KU right now, and I just thought this would be a fun little video and maybe also a place for you all to suggest which ones I should prioritize, or if there's other Romantasy books that you would recommend, I would love to know. I've really been craving Romantasy books. I just think they're easy and fun to read, and I'm just loving it, honestly. So without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off, obviously I have Blood Solace by Vila Roth, which is the second book in the Blood Mercy series. I am obsessed with Blood Mercy. I read Blood Mercy last month in March and I'm obsessed. It is so good, and I usually don't totally love vampires, like I could take them or leave them, but I need Leo in my life. He is just the most cinnamon roll of cinnamon rolls. I just love him so much. So I am itching to get to Blood Solace, which I will hopefully be doing in April. But oh my gosh, if you haven't read Blood Mercy, I would highly recommend. I think it is the perfect blend of romance and fantasy. It is just perfection. Perfection. I will say I also have a couple of like non-romantasy books on here, which I kind of wanted this video to be mainly just romantasy books because that's kind of the mood that I'm in at the moment. So next up is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah Parker. I'm a little nervous about this one because I've been seeing a lot of my friends in the Discord that I'm a part of read this book and either DNF it or love it or hate it. So it's a really mixed bag with this one, but what really intrigued me about this book is that it's of course about dragons, and I think I've heard it's something about dragons flying into the sky or something, or flying into the moon and becoming a moon or something, and then they fall to earth or something. Really don't know much about it. I heard dragons in Romantasy and I'm like, add to TBR. So I'm really curious about this one. I think I'll still give it a chance because, you know, it is on KU, girl math, it's free basically. So I will be trying it out at some point and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I like it. Next up is Reign of Shadows and Endings, which I think is by Melissa. I can't read the author's name. Rorick, I think is her last name. You're hopefully seeing it on the screen. But this is a book that I got intrigued by because of Erin from Booked and Busy. She said this is like absolutely amazing and it does sound pretty dang good. So I put it on the TBR. Can't really remember much about it, but if Erin is given it, I think like a 4 or 5 star, you know it's good, okay? Erin is a reader that when she gives something 4 or 5 stars, I know I gotta read that. So this sounds real good and I'm curious to try it out. Next up is a book I have heard zero things about until Realmathon, when like everybody was reading this book it seems, and that is Lady of Darkness also by Melissa Rorick. That's interesting. I didn't realize that was the same author. Just had a realization there. So this is also another Romantasy book, and I mainly saw this one from Mel from Eleanor Reads reading this series. I think she's already almost done with the series. It looks really good. It sounds real good. Can I remember anything about it? Of course not. Let's maybe try to fix that. So it looks like there is a ruthless assassin lord and sisters. So our main character looks like she is a ruthless assassin lord, and she has 2 sisters who've been trained since they were children to torture and take life. They are the most feared trio on the continent, but they are also wild and unpredictable. A tragic night has Scarlet finding herself locked away in a noble's household, trapped and forgotten until she's ready to fall into line. This sounds very intriguing. So at the bottom it says, this is a new adult fantasy enemies to lovers romance and adventure novel that will appeal to lovers of possessive fae, wicked witches, sexy shifters, and arrogant vampires. It may have triggers of love-hate themes, sexual scenes, violence, and jealous/possessive themes. Interesting. I could take relief fae, more often leave than behind, but I'm intrigued about this one, so definitely going to be checking this one out because I've seen a lot of great reviews for this one. The next book I have is by an author that I have read from previously, but she has mainly written contemporary things, but she's written a fantasy romance called A Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker. I think she's the author who wrote like that Alaska book that I absolutely hated because like the Alaska representation was so fake. But yeah, so this says it is a book about vengeful gods and monsters, and the length one would go for love. So, we have a gifted thief who steals jewels under notorious New York City crime boss. Oh, it's like urban fantasy romance. I don't think I knew that. Interesting. It does have a fairly high rating on Goodreads, a 4.14, and a lot of the people that I follow liked it. Steph gave it a 3.5, which I don't think is bad, but that doesn't mean she loved it. So I don't know. It's on KU. So again, girl math is basically free to read. Next up is A Court This Cruel and Lovely. I kind of hate the titles that are blank of blank and blank. It's getting old, okay? We gotta do something else, all right? So, I think I put this on my list because of Steph. Because I think she was listening to this one at one point and I was curious about it. Again, this one has fairly high ratings. Okay, the first sentence on the little blurb on Goodreads says, "For years, when I fell asleep, I dreamed of a man with blazing green eyes and a cruel smile." Okay, that's a little weird. Alright, so this says it's an adult romantasy book with steam. It is slow burn, but the chili pepper rating will increase for each book. Okay, the whole chili pepper thing I think is kind of silly, but this one doesn't give me a whole lot in the synopsis. But it says in the little tags that it's fae, magic, adult. Let me scroll down and see what the friends have thought. Steph gave it a 4-star, so I'm interested. I'm gonna try it and we'll see how it goes. I think it's a fairly long series. It's 4 books, so like not terribly long, but also not super short. Next up is one I have never heard of, but I saw dragons again, so added it to the list, and that is Promised in Fire by Jasmine Walt. I just love this cover. It is absolutely stunning. So let me do a little googly and see what we get. Oh my gosh, my computer is just taking me all over the place. Okay, this one has not the highest of ratings, but of course it says it's perfect for fans of Sarah Janet, Raven Kennedy, and Elise Kova. I'm so sick of books being compared to Sarah J Maas, honestly. But anyway, so the little tags: a fae with impossible magic, a dragon awoken from slumber, a kingdom corrupted by darkness. So it says, if you like steamy, slow burn romance, heart-pounding elemental duels, and unmatched world building, then you'll love this series. Okay, I do love all of that. So I'm really curious about this one. So it looks like this book has mostly gotten 4-star ratings from people I follow, like 3 stars or less, which is not great, but still gonna give it a chance. I love the cover. I do love me a book with dragons. That will get me every single time. Next up is a book that I actually don't know if it's romantasy, if you would call it that, fantasy romance, romantasy, whatever you want to call that. Next up is A Soul to Keep by Opal Renee. I think is how you say that name. So I heard about this through book club because I think somebody in book club read this and quite enjoyed it. This video is also like me kind of figuring out what these books are about because I just add anything and everything to my Kindle Unlimited list, and it's just a constant rotation of like books that sound good right now. I will put something back that doesn't, borrow something else, and then of course not read them because that's just typical. So this is a fantasy romance, and it says, known as a harbinger of bad omens and blamed for demons eating her family, Rhea is shunned by her entire village. When the next offering is due and the monstrous Dusk Walker is seen heading their way, her village offers her an impossible choice: be thrown into the prison cells or allow herself to be sacrificed to a faceless monster. Quite a choice there. So not really sure what to expect with this one. Again, a lot of the people that I follow have given it 5 stars. Okay. But then, okay, so Ashley from book club read this and gave it 3. So I don't know. Ashley and I can either be like right on par with each other on ratings or like not even close. So that'll be interesting if or when I get to this one. But it does sound interesting, and I'm kind of curious about it. Next up is The Ever King by L.J. Andrews. I added this because I was looking for more romantasy books to read because I've really been in that mood. So this one is like one of the highest rated books on Amazon for like Kindle Unlimited romantasy books. So I'm like, well, I gotta check it out now. So let's do a little search. I also think I saw Tori from Tori Between Pages read this book, and I think she enjoyed it. So this one, holy cow, 23,000 ratings. Okay, this book is pretty popular then. So let's see. Welcome to the passionate world of the Ever Kingdom, where pirates, sirens, and fae collide with the Vikings in a dark fantasy romance between a villain and the innocent princess who holds his heart. This sounds great. Just that. Pirates, sirens, yes. And a romance between the villain. Okay, this actually sounds really good now that I know a little bit more about it. That's enough. That's enough for me. I want to read this sooner rather than later. Alrighty, next up is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. She is such a famous romantasy author. I think y'all have heard of her. And this one I am curious about. So it says it's for fans of epic romantasy or romantic fantasy. And it's a dark tale of dark magic, passionate romance, vengeance, and redemption. So it's about a former slave fighting for justice, a reclusive warrior who no longer believes it exists, and a dark magic that will entangle their fates. That doesn't give me a whole lot, but I love the cover for this book, and the whole series is just gorgeous, and I'm really curious about this one. This one is also very popular, so we'll see how it goes. Next up is Whispers of the Deep by Emma Hamm. This one really pulled me in because of the cover. I just have not seen many romantasy books have like an underwater setting, it seems. So, like I said, the cover just pulled me in and that's all I needed. So, it says, one of the many engineers that keeps Beta, the city under the sea, running, Mira only wants to make her family proud and to prove herself worthy. She knows the mysterious city better than anyone, and it's her dream to help it flourish. But then, on a solo job in an abandoned section of the city, she encounters a monster, a legend. An Undine? A dangerous merman from an ancient civilization long forgotten. Interesting. So, I'm curious about this one. It's honestly not very long either, so this should be interesting. I'm intrigued. And another Carissa Broadbent book I have is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I'm real intrigued about this. I'm intrigued by all of these standalone romantasy books that are all set in various worlds by different authors, and they're all standalones, I believe. And there's like 5 different books. I'm curious in all of them. I think this one's technically like the first one or whatever. So I'm really curious about this one. It's also part of the Crowns of Nyaxia series, which is in large part The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which I also have checked out from KU at the moment. I will be reading that this year because I have it on my art fantasy bingo board, so I will definitely be getting to that one at some point, but I'm real intrigued. I gotta read them. Next up is A Game of Hearts and Heists, which I do actually have a physical copy of now as well. But what really pulled me in is that it is a lesbian romantasy story, which I do not see very often in the romantasy scene. It's all very male-female relationships. There just needs to be a lot more diversity in romantasy for sure. So when I heard about this one, I was super excited. I believe it's vampires, and I loved another book by this author, and she has the second book for that one coming out later this year. So really excited to try out her other series, and we'll see how it goes, but it sounds real good. Really, the line of a steamy lesbian fantasy romance was all I needed to know. And I'm like, yup, give it over. Next up is one that I think is fantasy romance, and that's Wrath and Rain by Nikki St. Crow. I think it's a compilation of an entire series that she's written, but I devoured her other series, which is a Peter Pan retelling. It's very, very smutty. Very, very smutty, okay? So I don't know what to expect with this one, but it sounds interesting. And I say that without even knowing what it's really about. So let's do a little googly and figure it out. But I'm pretty sure it's a bind up. Let's see. Yes, it is books 1 through 3, and it's 642 pages, so it's not very long. So it says it is a villain, enemies to lovers, paranormal romance. You can expect lots of action, tension, twist, and hate kissing, and a villain you love to love. So that's exciting. So it says the Demon King crossed over to our world looking for something that was stolen from him. What he found was me. I just find her writing so addicting. When I read, what was it called? I forget what it's called, but it's like the Vicious Lost Boys series. I know it's the series name. I was addicted because I read book 1 for book club and I'm like, that was a cliffhanger. I need to read book 2. Okay, that was really good. I need book 3. Wow. Okay, I need book 4. I just devoured them in like a week, which is so unlike me. And like, I work full time, you know? So for me to read like 4 books in just a couple of days is insanity. And they were all about, I think, 200 to 300 pages each. So really excited for this one. I love that it's a bind up, so I could just read the whole thing and just read a whole series basically at once. And I'm looking forward to it. And the last book I have is one that I have had checked out for like almost a year, maybe 2 at this point. And that is A Betrayal of Storms by Ben Alderson, which again, I was excited because it's a male-male fantasy romance, which really intrigued me. Like I said, fantasy romance is so white and so hetero that I get really, really excited when I see LGBTQ plus fantasy romance. Oh no, this one has really low ratings. It has a 3.6 average rating on Goodreads, which is really low. I'm curious why. Let's scroll down and see what's happening. Okay, this person DNF'd it at 50%. Interesting idea, extremely poor execution. Okay, another person DNF'd it halfway through. This book was bad. Pretty bad. Most of my gripes with it are technical and stylistic ones, but the content itself wasn't much either. Oh no. Wow. Okay, here's another one. Gave it 2 stars. So the person says, saw the author making a TikTok about this book, advertising it as a queer fantasy where the prince falls in love with his personal guard instead of his princess. I'll admit that LGBTQ plus representation was what convinced me to give this a try. Though this book does deliver on its promise of a queer relationship, it does nothing to salvage the rest of this book. Oh no. Yeah, there's a lot of DNFs and a lot of 1 stars, which is really sad. So I'm not as excited to read this one now, but I appreciate knowing that going in so I can kind of, adjust my expectations. That reminds me of that audio where it's like, reduce your expectations. That's me right now. So, yeah, that's the little handful of romantasy books that I have currently checked out from Kindle Unlimited. I want to read them all. It's a struggle to pick which ones I want to read. Maybe from this video, I might do a little spin-off of where I'll like spin a wheel or something and pick one and read one in a vlog or something. Or if you have any ideas on how you would like to see me try to read these books or do something, let me know. I'll try to come up with something too and maybe make a little video concept out of it. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!